Welcome back, all you mobile gamers, to the 10th episode of the Tiny Nimble Podcast, a game show.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the game show.
A show focused on mobile gaming, hosted by me, Tiny Little Games, and the son of Odin himself, Nimble Thor. Today we're going to talk about some cool upcoming releases. Nimble Thor has an amazing announcement, as well as how the lockdown has changed our mobile gaming habits. Before we get too far, if you're listening on a platform where you can leave a like, subscribe, or rate this show, you're more than welcome to do so. YouTube, Spotify, and iTunes all look at engagement rates when they decide which content to feature. So if you're enjoying this show and want to help support and grow the podcast, that's one of the best ways to do so, and we would really appreciate the help. But as always, the best way to start this show is with our righteous recommendations. Nimble Thor, take it away.
Thank you very much. So, my righteous recommendation of this month, or this episode, the big 1-0, the 10th episode, is... Yep, Idle Legend. This is essentially the same core idea as we saw it in AFK Arena, for those who've played that game. So that means it's a strategy RPG game with a relatively friendly monetization system, at least for this genre of games, and then with a mix of active gameplay, and of course it's kind of in the name, idle gameplay. But the new thing is that Idle Legends introduces, and I'm about to laugh here, I can barely contain myself, it introduces that we have to place our heroes on a chessboard. I kid you not, exactly like in an auto chess game. So it basically mixes auto chess and AFK Arena, and I laughed, you laughed, I heard that.
Yes.
I think, this is weird, but for some reason it just kind of works. I've really been enjoying this game more than I thought I would. I played AFK Arena back when that released. I really enjoyed that as well. Also more than I thought I would. AFK games, I hate to admit it, but they're starting to grow on me, I like myself a good idle game at this point, and that wasn't the case a few years ago. To be honest, if you go back and listen to some of my videos back then, I was kind of hating on those types of games, but these days I can play an idle game. I mean, that's fine. I still don't like games that act as if they're not idle games and then they fill it up with auto systems, but a properly made idle game, I mean, that's just down my alley. Don't know how you feel about that. Do you play idle games?
I'm kind of in the same boat. I started out the same way. Like you said, a few years back, I despised idle games. But if they do the mechanics right, and if it can pique my interest, I can enjoy myself a little bit of idling.
I think you should check this one out. Idle Legend. It's pretty cool. I actually have one more recommendation, and I asked if this was okay. I got the big thumbs up.
I will allow
from
it.
You will allow it. Thank you, my good sir. So my second recommendation, you're getting sort of a two for one deal here, is that Gwent released recently on Android and iOS, and I'm really liking it. It's, for those who don't know, it's a collectible card game originating from the Witcher games, which I believe you actually played and I didn't, right?
Yes.
You played the yeah, you liked it.
I loved it. I played The Witcher 3 multiple times, and I played Gwent more so than I played The Witcher 3, I feel like.
Perfect. Okay, so see, I didn't, right? So I'm coming at this game just as a completely ordinary mobile gamer, having not played any of those fancy PC and console games, but I really like this one. It's a breath of fresh air into the CCG mobile scene, I feel like. Really enjoyed it. If you haven't tried it yet, that's also an easy recommendation. What's unique about it? Well, both me and Tiny, I think, have done videos on this game, so you can go watch those, hint, hint. But in general, it's a slightly different take on the traditional CCG gameplay, but still with enough of the same gameplay that, if you enjoy a game like Hearthstone and so on, then I think you might enjoy Gwent as well. It does take up a lot of space, though, so just a fair warning. I think it's almost 3 gigabytes or something like that. It's pretty hefty, but it does also look so fantastic. I mean, that's part of why I enjoy playing the game. I think I can play a game with bad graphics if it has good gameplay, but sometimes when a game has really great graphics, that's also appealing in and of itself, to me at least.
And Gwent is one of those games that has both really great graphics and fantastic gameplay. And I enjoy the heck out of Gwent because it's really a game of thinking. Like, you really have to know your cards and what they're going to do. And there's those moments where you're like, you might be losing, but you decide to pass on a round because you know you have more cards in your deck, so you might win that next round. Yeah, it's just this whole little dynamic that goes along with it. And yeah, Gwent is an amazing game, and they changed a lot. This version is completely different than the one that was in The Witcher 3. Not completely, but they changed a lot of some of like the way you go about making your decisions and whatnot. It's still Gwent no matter what, but it's such an enjoyable experience.
I guess it's worth pointing out when you said losing one round, just for those who haven't played it, one of the unique things about Gwent is that you actually play up to 3 rounds. So if you win 2 rounds, then you will won the match completely, but you can go into the 3rd round if you and your opponent each wins one of the first 2 rounds, and you can basically decide, which was what Tiny said before, you can basically decide if you want to skip this round or like stop this round here and just go to the next one. And there might be strategic reasons for why to do that. And also just really loved that there's so many cards that impact other cards. And not just impacting the next card you play, but impacting the 3rd, 4th, and 5th card. I was about to say game. 5th card that you play, which is so really interesting. There's some cards that grow stronger and stronger every time you play a new card that has a higher power than that card. So it has 1 power to begin with, but as you then keep playing more and more cards, this just grows in power, and it can essentially turn into like a 9 or 10 power card, which is a really powerful card in that game. Anyway, so there we go. I just wanted to give a quick recommendation, and we're talking about it for a few minutes now. I love that game. Hopefully some of you who haven't tried it yet, but like CCGs, will go check it out now. I don't think it's going to disappoint you. But you also have a righteous recommendation, so let's get to that one. What's your game of this episode?
I'm going to second you on Gwent, just briefly. That's a recommendation for sure. But my other righteous recommendation is going to be Solo Knight. It's a game called Solo Knight.
Not Soul Knight.
No, not Soul. Yes, not to be confused with Soul Knight. This is SOLO. I almost didn't know how to spell solo.
It's tough.
Yes. Speaking of idle type games, I would actually kind of put this into that category. It's very similar to Nonstop Night. So basically, Nonstop Night was your character runs around, kills enemies, you go to a boss fight, you collect loot, and you upgrade them and all that fun stuff. It's the very same premise, except with Solo Knight, you actually can control the character a lot more. So you tap where you want him to be while he's doing his attacks. Let's say you're fighting a boss, and that boss is like super challenging. This game has really super challenging bosses, which is awesome.
Nice.
And you want to position your character behind the boss. You want him to shoot his arrows, or you might want to switch weapons to, go to more of a melee weapon or something like that. So it's really like the player input is there, but then there's also the idle mechanics where you'll take on rounds and rounds while you're not playing the game, and then you get your loot and stuff like that, upgraded gear, all that stuff. And another cool aspect of it is the actual art style. It's like this cool little, I call it, in the video I called it like a Paper Mario type thing. Like the characters look like paper, basically, like colored in sketched papers. So when your characters move, let's say they go a different direction, he'll actually flip like a piece of paper and start walking that other direction, which I thought was really cool. And it's another one of those games where it's like it's an idle type game, and I'm not really a big fan of those type of games, but yet there's enough player input to where I'm kind of engaged in what I'm doing. I really enjoyed Solo Knight. Yeah,
that's cool to hear, because that was one of the things I liked less about Nonstop Night, especially Nonstop Night 2. I actually quite liked the first one, to be honest, but the second one, I was kind of missing some sort of player input, right? Or more player input than that game at least offered. That sounds really cool. I guess I should check out that game.
Yeah, you should definitely. It's in early access right now, so it might not be everywhere, but once it comes out, I definitely suggest giving Solo Knight a play.
Right, yeah, right. It might not be available in Denmark yet. In the US, it's available, right? I mean, you downloaded it off of Google Play?
Yep, downloaded off Google Play, yeah.
That's cool.
All right, so moving on, we're going to talk about some exciting upcoming releases and some new games that have came out recently. We're not going to talk about all new games that have released, because a lot of games have came out since we've last met together. Yeah. But we do want to talk about a few of them. So one of them being Dead by Daylight has finally released on Android. Those Dead by Daylight fans who played it on PC or on consoles might be super interested. It's kind of like one of those, what is it, like a 4-player versus another player who's the bad guy or the enemy, and you kind of go around sneaking around, have to escape or kill him. I never had a chance to play it on PC, so I am super excited to try to give it a shot on Android. I don't know if you've ever played. Have you played Dead by Daylight?
It's also out on iOS, right? I just when we say Android.
Yes,
it's both out on Android and iOS, I think. And yeah, it is indeed those, one of those 4 versus 1 horror games, multiplayer, right? So real-time multiplayer, which is cool, I guess. I played it. It was soft released in Denmark, so I got to play it some weeks back. I haven't fully formed my full opinion on the game yet. It's okay. It's not bad. It's just it's very dark. Maybe even it was, at least when I tried it. That might have changed, of course, but it was very dark to the point of making it almost not enjoyable for me, but that's very subjective though. That doesn't mean that it's a bad game or that other people aren't going to enjoy it. I would love to have some more time with the game and then actually maybe do a full video on it. But I don't see this turning into one of those games that I'll keep playing. And also, there has already been another 4 versus 1 game on mobile, right?
Oh,
there's been another one.
I
much like this one.
I really enjoyed that one too. V something or I can't think
Identity
of it.
V.
Identity V. Oh,
right.
You were so on it. Yes, Identity V. So very similar to that, and I really enjoyed Identity V.
See, Identity V was interesting because it's basically Dead by Daylight, but it just released, I guess, 1.5 years earlier. So they were onto the mobile market before Dead by Daylight was, and I think they snagged up a good chunk of the potential audience who could have been interested in Dead by Daylight. And I remember when that game launched, Identity V, I think it got something crazy like 10 million downloads within the first few days worldwide. I remember it being really crazy. Like everyone was downloading that game. And that was really cool. I mean, it had some nice story to it and a bit of a long tutorial as far as I remember, but it was still a great game. So if Dead by Daylight is anything like that, which it is, I mean, it is the same type of game essentially. I guess it's a recommendation as well. I guess it's a new release, but also something that I think a lot of people will enjoy. The 4 versus 1 aspect of the game basically means that one plays, I guess, basically a monster. I mean, it's a horror-themed game, right? Like, you play as someone who's trying to catch people and slaughter them. Like, there's no nice way of saying that.
Yeah, you're
like,
the villain,
you're the villain.
killer, whatever you are. Guy with a mask. You're the guy
exactly,
with the mask.
and you have to catch people and then trap them. And the 4 players fighting against you, they're trying to get away from you and get away out of the map within a certain time limit. They have to survive and then get out at the end of that time limit to the rescue point. And the 4 players that are against you, if you're playing as a villain, they work together, of course. Like, they can heal each other, they can help each other out of traps if they get trapped, they can temporarily stun you as the villain. And I think this is one of those games where if you have people to play it with, this could be so much fun. Like if you were chatting with your friends
Teamwork,
and like playing. Yeah, teamwork is a big factor of this game. But when you play with random people online, you might get a worse experience because people are not doing what you expect them to do. Like people are new to the game and you get just frustrated with that. Whereas the same frustration or the same type of thing happening could be fun if it was between friends, you know?
Yeah, it's kind of like they did the Jason game, the Friday the 13th game. They did I think Resident Evil has one out called not Revolution, Resident Evil Revolution, something like that. This was a big genre for over the past couple of years, the 4 versus 1. I never could really get into it. A lot of people like it, so if you like it, you might want to give it a try on mobile.
Absolutely.
And then next up we have, oh yes, I did want to talk about this release that came out. It's the Gameloft Classics. 20 years of Gameloft, everybody. So, and I didn't realize Gameloft was around for 20 years. So when I heard this was released, I was kind of excited to see, well, what's all this about? So I downloaded it. And yeah, it's basically a bunch of Gameloft games that were created before there was mobile versions of the games, I guess. A lot of them are sprite-based 2D type games. You have like a Bubble Pop game. You have, I guess, Nova is on there. Nova is a 2D side-scroller in this version, which I didn't even know existed. What else was on there? Gangstars, Modern Combat is on there. But like I said, it's a 2D side-scroller. So it's very interesting if anybody wants to check out the origins of Gameloft and how they kind of got their start. This is before the big mobile craze. They really don't make games like this anymore, honestly. And from what I can tell, there's no in-app purchases. It's just the games. But I think
there's no monetization, no in-app purchases, no ads, right? I think it's just
no
completely free. Just sort of, which surprised me honestly, because Gameloft, I wouldn't say they're the worst company with the monetization, but they're not. They are a bit aggressive in some of their games.
You would expect it, yeah.
Yeah, so like they're not the worst out there, but still, But they've released some big franchises, of course. Like, if people are hearing Gameloft and that doesn't ring a bell, I mean, they've made games like the Asphalt series of racing games. I think that's safe to say that's probably the most popular racing game on mobile, at least racing game franchise.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And then they released lots of Disney stuff, with Disney characters. And they've also released some other, the Nova, as you said, and Modern Combat series. Wow, serious, I guess that's how you say that.
You're serious about your Modern Combat.
I'm serious about this stuff, guys. Yeah, but that's that's Gameloft, right? For those who didn't know. And I didn't know, and I think you mentioned this in the pre-show as well. I didn't know that they had been around for 20 years.
No idea, yeah.
I had no idea. But this is a cool little thing for, if you've played the classics, this is probably brilliant, right? You get to replay them, rediscover them. And some of them, I think, I might be wrong about this, what I'm about to say now, but I think some of them were Flash games, like Flash browser games.
Yeah.
Some of them. And
some of them
cool
came
thing
out
about them,
on web or whatnot, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so the cool thing about them being preserved is that Flash is going away, right? So you can't, if you're using Google Chrome, for example, very soon you won't even be able to enable Flash even if you wanted to. Right now, for many years, it's been like you have to manually enable it. But very soon it'll be gone forever, and I think it's the same on Safari and probably Firefox as well. So this is probably the only way to preserve these games, which is really cool. Now, we've got some upcoming games as well, because these are out right now, Dead by Daylight and Gameloft Classic, but there are some upcoming games that are getting a lot of hype as well. Area F2 is a game, I just heard about it today. On our mobile gaming Discord server, hint, hint. But apparently this game has been getting so much attention. Their Facebook page for this game has over 150,000 likes, and it's a close quarter first-person shooter. That's how the developers themselves describe it. I know you were comparing it to another game in the pre-show.
Yeah,
Tiny.
so I watched the trailer for it, and I was like, holy moly, this looks like Rainbow Six Siege.
Rainbow Six Siege,
yes,
right.
It's dead on Rainbow Six Siege type gameplay where you pick your class, you go in there, and you use your little drones to find enemies, you sneak around corners, you take them down. And I played a lot of Rainbow Six Siege when it came out, and I really enjoyed it. And if this is anything close to Rainbow Six Siege, I'm kind of excited for it. And I'm like you, I just heard about this game today, so you told me about it and I went and looked at it and I was like, this game looks pretty cool, so it's definitely on my radar.
And maybe the best part is that if you are on Android, there's actually an open beta, but you have to go to their website and download the APK installation file directly from their website. If you're on iOS or you prefer not to download an APK, even though this is off of their official website, so it should be okay. But if you prefer not to do that, there is also a beta, I think, in some countries on iOS. At least there is an iOS link on their website. So go check that out. Maybe you live in a country where you can play the beta. But this is, I haven't played it. It's upcoming. I did download the APK just today, getting a lot of attention. Wanted to bring it up to you guys. Maybe some of you guys listening have heard of the game. In that case, we'd love to hear what you think about it, or if you know why it's getting so much hype. I don't really get it, but now I'm excited. I guess I bought into the hype cycle for this.
The hype train.
The hype train. You
bought a ticket to the hype train.
I did indeed. I know that you bought a ticket for another game though. For the hype train for another game, Dead Cell. Right?
Oh, definitely bought a ticket to that. So, yeah, Dead Cell, actually, we finally have a release date for Dead Cells. June 3rd is the official release date, and let's hope it stays that way. I'm super excited to finally get to play it. I know it's been out on iOS. It was out on consoles, I think, 2 years ago. It's a side-scrolling, roguelike type game with awesome-tastic graphics and all this cool stuff, and I've been waiting for Dead Cells to come out. It was supposed to come out on Android, I think, in 2019, but they had to push it back. So now that we have a date, it's finally going to release. It will be a premium title. I'm actually pretty sure it will be. I'm not sure on what price it will be.
It will be on iOS. It sits at $9 right now. Just check this, $9, and it's number 11. It's ranked 11 in role playing, like in the role playing genre. So that just says something about how good of a game this probably is. Haven't played it myself. I've also been looking forward to it, and I guess this is good news for those who like premium games, because this should, based on what other people are saying, what other people are saying, English, I can speak it. What other people are saying about this game is that it's brilliant. Like, it is some of the best I've ever played. So it's been missing on Android, but now it's finally coming. June 3rd. Was that it? June 3rd?
June 3rd. That's the date. Put that on your calendar, everybody.
Now, the next one is actually also a shooter. So another shooter. This is a bit of a rumor, I guess, because this wasn't actually directly confirmed officially. But then again, to some extent it was, because there's this rumor that a cross-platform Warframe game is going to release. I guess it's the PC and console Warframe, but just on mobile then, since it's cross-platform. And they didn't directly announce that this would be happening, but in a quarterly or annual report for, financial report of the company who's developing this game, they mentioned that they wanted to focus on mobile in the future, not become a mobile-first company, but they wanted to bring their experiences to mobile with cross-platform experiences, and I quote, to leverage the success of the PC games. I guess it was more paraphrasing, actually, not a quote. But they want to leverage the success, and they want to create cross-platform games. And then you look at the company and you see, okay, so Warframe is their most successful game. They're probably going to bring Warframe to mobile, which would be kind of a big deal. Warframe is a free-to-play shooter game, sci-fi shooter game on PC and consoles, and it's a really popular game, and I'm surprised it's still so popular. I looked it up. It's also being streamed a lot on Twitch. YouTube videos are being created about this game still, years after release. It's a pretty solid game. I played it in the beginning when it first released and really enjoyed it as well. Not sure if you've played it or maybe recently have played it.
So one thing about Warframe is that the developers are really good about doing updates, adding new content, all kinds of stuff. So I played a lot in the beginning. I checked in about a year or two ago, and then I checked in a little bit recently on it, and a lot changes. The game is kind of always evolving, and the way they do their monetization is actually probably one of the best I've seen. So you can actually pay for the in-game currency to get items or whatnot, but you can also grind it, and when you grind, you actually grind the earned in-game currency. So if you put enough time into it, and it's not a super duper grind, but you do gotta grind. You can actually earn the in-game currency yourself, purchase those items. So I have a friend who plays the heck out of Warframe, and he has not spent a dime on the game, and he has a lot of the premium content just by grinding. So I think their monetization model has been very successful for them. It's made them last. They're always updating content. So by adding a mobile version, if they do, because we know it's all rumor, I think it could just take it to the next level for them, especially crossplay. Imagine, playing it on the bus or playing it on the go at the park, and then coming home and continuing that grind, which is kind of awesome. If you have a game that has a lot of grinding involved, the best thing is to be able to play it anywhere.
Yeah, and I think that is a trend. This is certainly where the games industry is going. Everyone is trying to do this in different ways. Stadia, Microsoft xCloud, all those streaming platforms, that's basically what they're trying to achieve. You also have, in the MMORPG space, this is obviously also a huge trend. RuneScape can now be played on mobile and on PC. You've got Albion Online, it's a bit more unknown than RuneScape, but it's also an MMORPG that you can also play on mobile, I think, and on PC. And in the shooter genre, of course, we've got Fortnite, there's just, PUBG, there's just so many games, and there are more and more these days, and they all want to do cross-platform play. Not all of the ones I mentioned here does have proper cross-platform, but for all of them, what's true is that it's the same. It is pretty much the same game, right? It's not a mobile port of the game. It's not a lower quality version of it. It is actually the full game, just playable on mobile.
That's the awesome aspect about it, is that it's the exact game that you're playing. So it's not like you're missing out on anything by playing on mobile.
Exactly. And I was actually, even just the other day, I was having trouble sleeping, and I was like, okay, I'll grab my phone, I'll just play something, because then, if I'm lying in bed and playing something, typically I fall asleep. And what do I boot up? Well, I just needed something I didn't have to think too much about, so I booted up RuneScape, and I started grinding, in that game, just collecting ores, killing some easy monsters, and it was just kind of a relaxing experience, whereas when playing it on PC, I'll go a bit more hardcore on it. I'll play more aggressively and really to optimize everything, but on mobile, I just play to pass time, right? And just to have something to do that makes me feel like I'm progressing towards something. I guess that's, at the end of the day, that's basically gaming, right? Making you feel like you're progressing towards something or experiencing something. At least, maybe it's just the RPG player in me. I think of it in terms of achieving something, right?
Yeah,
the
exactly,
RPG player is I gotta level up. What do I have to level up? I don't care. Just let me level up in something, right? A character, a skill. I need to progress in something. So
you say you play it to fall asleep. So do you fall asleep and the game's still running, and then you wake up, your character's dead or something? Or
no, actually, in the case of RuneScape, I don't do this often. But it was just that one night, and I was playing RuneScape because why not? And I was just collecting resources in the game, so you can't really die.
I see.
In a safe area.
You're just doing
I was just
smart.
Yeah. I started out killing some creatures, but then I went on to just doing that, and then eventually I fell asleep, and the game turns off, or the phone screen turns off when I don't touch it for a while, and then it's not advisable, of course, to to fall asleep with a phone playing a game, because it can run a bit hot, depending on what game you're playing. But yeah, that happened. That was a bit of a segue, or not a segue, sort of a branch for this conversation somewhere else. But that's why I like RPG games. I like my relaxed RPG games, and I like games that I can pick up on a phone and then continue on a PC. There we go, segueing back on topic. Yes, which was what you brought up, right?
Yep.
That you have crossplay. Yeah, we've got more games. We've got more games to get to, right? Spyjinx by Epic Games. Is there more to say? I mean, it's an interesting one because it's Epic Games, right?
Yeah, Epic Games. That's all you need to say.
At least at this point, whenever they, and I don't know how. Well, I do know how they created Fortnite. That's how they got that status, right? But at this point, it's like, if they do something, people are listening.
Mm-hmm. We're paying attention.
At least that's the sense I get. Yeah, you're paying attention, right? There's no news on when this new game of theirs will actually globally release, but it is in beta in some countries on iOS already, so you guys can go check it up. Spyjinx. And when it eventually releases on Android, as you were saying in the pre-show, it's not going to release on Google Play. And why is that?
Nope, not at all. So Epic Games, they have this whole thing with Google Play where they won't release their games on Google Play. It started out with Fortnite. Fortnite was originally going to release on Google Play because it released on the App Store on iOS. However, Epic Games, basically, they allow you to sideload the apps onto Android devices. Epic doesn't want to pay I don't know if it's 30% or whatever the percentage is, that they have to store the game on Android's App Store. So ever since that happened, Epic Games has only released their mobile games. I think Battle Breakers was the most recent one they released, and I had to play that game. You have to go to the Epic Game Store on like your phone, and you have to basically sideload it. So you'll never find these games on Google Play, at least for the time being. They're not playing nice with each other. They got
The question
beef.
is if it's actually worth it. Is it really worth it for Epic Games? I mean,
that's true.
I guess with Fortnite, I get it, right? It was so popular and it was making so much money, having to pay 30% off of, like, imagine having to pay Google 30% off of $1 billion.
Yep.
Right? I mean, these are the kind of numbers we're talking about. Like $100 million in a single month, right? Like $1 billion maybe over a year or a year and a half on mobile. 30% of that's a lot, like $300 million, right? And then I guess the calculation they did with Fortnite was that, hey, yeah, we're going to lose some users, but, the people who want to play Fortnite, they're going to go ahead and download or sideload this game on Android. And I'm just not sure if it's the same for Spyjinx and other games that are mobile first and that many people don't know about yet. There is, after all, some discoverability on, there's not a lot, but there's a bit on Google Play and on the App Store. And I'm just wondering if Epic Games just not wanting to engage with that at all is really a good idea for them moving forward. And I think Spyjinx in many ways will kind of be the one that has to prove that their strategy of not releasing on Google Play is one that's actually going to work.
Yeah, I am super interested, and I didn't really even think of it that way. You're right, because discoverability is a big feature, and if nobody realizes or knows that these games are coming out, like I said, Battle Breakers was one. Now we have Spyjinx. It's going to be hard for them, I feel like, to get those games out there and then push them, because it's not like it's not like they can advertise it on their app or on there or something along those lines. Exactly. So that's interesting.
Now, the game itself, by the way, it seems like, for good reason, I mean, I haven't played it, you haven't played it, but it seems like almost a clash. The developer probably wouldn't like me to bring up this example or compare it to this game, but it looks a bit like a Clash of Clans type of game. But hear me out. You set up your defenses and you try to get through other players' defensive setups, but then it has this whole spy theme. And it seems that the big difference is that you're actually controlling your group of spies, like heroes, and they have, you have to guide them through the opponent's base, and you have to avoid traps and, I guess, decipher passwords, and I don't know exactly how it works, but that's what it looks like from the gameplay footage I have seen. And I mean, I guess that could be kind of interesting, a fresh take on this type of you set up your base, others set up their bases, and you attack each other type of game. I mean, it worked for Clash of Clans almost, not exactly 10 years ago, but like 7 years ago. Maybe it's going to work for Spyjinx in this new setting. I do wonder, though, if it's actually going to take off, But in any case, it's Epic Games. As I said, Epic Games, it's going to be interesting. I'll have to check it out. I think a lot of people are going to check it out. If you spend a lot of time playing mobile games, you're probably, to some extent, looking forward to this game, or at least curious to see what it is that Epic Games is, have come up with.
I am interested because they have been pushing creating more mobile content. I've noticed that over recently, and so they know there's a market there for it, which of course there is. They must be getting some sort of success with their mobile versions of games. So I am curious to see them going forward, to see how well Spyjinx does, see what else they can come up with. I mean, Epic Games is a brand name at this point, so let's just see what they can do. I will say that I see them being more successful at creating mobile games than other developers, such as like Ubisoft, for example, created the Quest for Mighty Loot, let's say, and that game kind of in the end became like a throwaway game to me. It didn't hold my attention. It didn't keep me going. So if anything, I feel like Epic Games is doing a little bit of a better job at creating more quality games for mobile. Battle Breakers, I'm not sure how popular it is right now, but I did enjoy it a lot, and I could see people still enjoying it. So if anybody can do it, I think Epic Games is going in the right direction.
I do agree. So let's just see what happens. I mean, hopefully this is a game that releases at some point towards the end of this year. This is one of those types of games that, maybe they'll have it ready by December or like for Christmas. That would be my best guess. But we don't actually have a release date yet. There's one more game in terms of like upcoming games on our list that we prepared, and that is Legends of Runeterra, the League of Legends inspired card game from Riot Games. And talking about developers that are starting to take mobile seriously, like holy moly, Riot Games is really, we talked about this in the past as well, the last episode, I believe. Riot Games is really just pumping out games these days. But that game has now finally gotten a release date. So it's coming to Android and iOS at the same time, it seems, on April 30th. So as of the recording of this video, that's in only, just about 10 days. So very, very soon.
Right around the corner, yeah.
Maybe by the time you're listening to this, you can actually already download it. I would be lying if I said that I'm super hyped for this game. That doesn't mean that, I guess I'm just sort of indifferent about it. I don't know if I should be hyped. Maybe it's going to be a great game, but I don't really know. As opposed to some of the other franchises we've talked about, this one is new to me. I mean, obviously it's a new game. Also, I didn't play League of Legends. I do know about the game, but I'm not in love with the lore or the universe, so that's not really, bringing me in either. And then the auto chess game that Riot Games made, the name escapes me right now, but the one they released very recently, that it wasn't amazing. Like, it didn't do anything differently than the other auto chess games. And I guess that kind of just disappointed me, because when you release a game on mobile a year or a year and a half after other developers have released their version of this new genre of games, as is the case with auto chess, I'm just like, you got to do something new. And that's my concern for this game, is that they're releasing a card game and maybe it's just going to end up being the same old recipe repeated again.
And the issue that I see that can happen here is that they're releasing a card game, and the card game, let's say this genre you don't have many very good, card battling games out in this genre. So they're going to come out here and they're competing with, like, let's say Gwent. We just talked about Gwent. They're competing with Gwent, which is an amazing game. They're competing with Teppen, which I love Teppen. That's the Capcom card game. They're competing with, Card Thief. That's another one. Like, there's some really good collectible card battling games out there, like really good ones, and you're going to come out here and you're going to have to compete with them. So you got to be good. The strategy has to be there. You can't just rely on, okay, League of Legends fans are going to enjoy this because it has all their favorite characters.
Can they?
I guess
maybe they can. I get what you mean.
League of Legends fans
just to play the
fierce.
devil's advocate for a bit. I mean, there's a lot of League of Legends players, or a lot of people who still play the game, and a lot of people who used to play it. And those types of players might be looking for new types of experiences, and some of those players might not have played other CCGs.
That's a good point, to compare it to.
But I completely get what you mean. Like, maybe this is going to be more of a fan service game, or like a game that's mostly for the existing fans. But really, we're just speculating here. I mean, none of us have played the game, but I guess I'm just concerned about the game, which isn't completely fair. I mean, it might turn out to be a great game. Let's see. It releases very, very soon. We'll play it, I'm sure. We'll probably both end up covering it on our individual channels as well.
But going forward, we have a huge announcement, everybody.
Yes.
Nimble has a huge announcement. Everyone pay attention.
I'm pregnant. Oh, wait. No.
Oh, wait.
No. Google Stadia, just as good, even better than being pregnant. Pregnant. You've seen that video, right?
Yeah.
Pregnant? Anyway, Google Stadia, it released in Denmark, not on mobile, but on PC. And, it means that even with my relatively not so great PC, my laptop, I can now play high quality PC games. And very soon, I'll be able to play them on mobile as well. I would be able to play them on mobile if I had the Google Pixel phone. That's the only, and maybe some Samsung devices, those are the only ones that are supported right now. Google is going to roll that out to more devices soon, iOS as well, obviously. But I got to try it out, and I've, for those who are new to the podcast, I've been talking about Google Stadia for months now, like for so many episodes. I've been really looking forward to it. The idea of being able to play AAA games on mobile, it really entices me. And when I say AAA, I mean, we have lots of great games on mobile, but just the idea of being able to play AAA PC games on mobile really intrigues me. I tried it. I now got a chance to try it out. I heard there was sort of mixed results, right, from people who tried it out when it officially or originally released in the US last year. I want to say around October, November last year, around that time. It got a bit of like mixed results, reviews. Probably most of them weren't that great, right? Like people had some stuttering, some lag,
Yeah, initial issues or whatnot. Usually issues. With new products or new services, you're going to have that. So
exactly. But my experience of it, trying it now in April 2020 from Denmark with a good internet connection. I do have a 200 megabit internet connection, so it is a good internet connection. But under those conditions, it was a really great experience. Like it ran so smoothly. Like obviously, I haven't been able to do a side-by-side comparison to the original game or a side-by-side comparison to other game streaming services. But I think that's kind of the point, right? Because maybe you would be able to point something out if you're comparing to a game being played on a powerful PC next to it. Maybe you would be able to, but you're not, right? I mean, the target audience for this game doesn't have that option, right? Or they just prefer the portability of it. Anyway, I had a great experience. It ran very smoothly. I tried Grit, the racing game. It booted up in like seconds. Like just like you click play and then it's running. Like it was so quickly. That was such a nice experience, just being able to launch it up so quickly. There was a small hiccup on my second play, not play through, I didn't play through the entire game, but on my second play of that game, there's a bit of a hiccup. But when I was actually racing, when I was actually playing the game, everything ran so smoothly. And yeah, it was just really cool, a really cool experience to be able to launch a game faster than I would have been able to on my PC if it played directly on my PC. And in this case, it was actually being streamed from a data center somewhere, I guess somewhere in Europe, to my computer. So I'm really looking forward to this coming to mobile, and then you can play it with your, if you have a controller. I would actually need to get a controller, I guess, but then I would be able to play these games. I'm a bit of a fanboy, admittedly, of this service. Not just this service, but I mean, also, Microsoft's Project X Cloud, also a fan of that. I just like the idea of streaming games. I'm definitely the target audience for these types of services.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Like, you bring up a good point. Like, it's meant for a target audience and those people to enjoy it, and you're enjoying it. And like I said, they've had a lot of updates with it. They've been working on it. They've been trying to get, the streaming quality better. They're trying to, less stuttering hiccups. And I've heard, not just from you, but from other people that it's actually a lot better experience than when it first launched. And like you said, it's good for the people who want to use their mobile device on the go, or just, maybe their PC can't play these type of games. Like, you wouldn't be able to play this game on your PC. It wouldn't run it correctly. And the fact that it launches is awesome instantly. Is cool.
and also just, I mean, hey, the one thing I didn't mention, I didn't pay anything. I got to play Grit absolutely for free. This was, I guess, part of a promotion where you could get 2 months of the subscription for free. And then you also got a few games that are not part of the subscription. We just got them for free. So that's how that happened. But still, I mean, you can use the service for free. I didn't actually sign up for the trial part of it. I didn't give them my credit card information. So I played completely for free, and I got to play Grit. And that was freaking awesome. And in the future, I might end up buying Doom on there. So that's the thing, right? Like buying games on there, because you do have to buy them, right? Mm-hmm. There's some that are part of the subscription, but if you're not using the subscription and you just, you want to buy your game straight up instead, that's an option, because some games are not part of the subscription either. But in any case, I don't plan on buying the subscription. So I might end up buying a game like Doom. It is a bit more expensive to buy it through Stadia than buying it on Steam or the Epic Store, wherever these games are available. You will end up paying a bit of a premium, like $60, $70, $75 maybe even for a game on this service. So you do have to take that into consideration. But for someone like me, like paying $5 extra and then not having to buy a gaming PC, hey, I mean, that's a pretty freaking good deal to me. And even if I have to do that 10 times, that's only $50. How much of in this made up example here, but even if it's like $50, $100, how much of a gaming PC does that get me? Not a lot, right?
Yep. Depending on the game you're playing, the high quality games like Doom or newer games that get released, Red Dead Redemption, stuff like that. You need a pretty good beefy PC to play some of those games, at least on higher settings if you want it to look good.
Yeah.
And that's what they're saying Google Stadia does. It makes it look like, you're playing on a high-end PC. You said the game booted up like instantly, and that's isn't that because like the games, they're already running on those servers, like they're already ready to go. You're just clicking and just joining that game as it's playing or whatnot, right? That has to be why it boots up so fast.
Well, you do actually, so you do see the load screen still of the game. But when I say it launched so quickly, it was just like there's no sort of like loading bar that said, connecting to servers or whatever. It was just like you were on the website. This was all happening in my browser, by the way, on my laptop. So I was in the browser in Google Chrome, went to the website, signed up. This is literally the process, right? I typed in my preferred gaming tag or like username, and I set all that stuff up. I saw that Grid was on there. There's a huge freaking play button in the middle of the screen. I tapped the play button. Screen, the screen went full screen. There was a black screen for like 2 seconds, and then I saw the loading screen for the game, not for connecting to Google servers, but for the game. And then I was just, and because it's a pretty beefy server it's running on, it does load very quickly as well. So that's what I meant when I said like instant. Like I felt like
that's pretty instant.
Yeah, exactly. It was the same as if I had launched it on my own computer, I feel like. Anyway, it was a great experience. It now finally happened. Now we've talked about it. We can move on. Maybe I'll get back and talk more about it once it's supported on more smartphones. I think people should try it out if they have access to it. It's free right now. It's like, why not give it a go if you don't own a good gaming PC?
And now the marketing department at Google can cut you your check.
They really should. I mean, I've been so hyped for this. I've been talking about
it. Yeah, you've been so excited for this. But I'm glad you got to play it though, because it's funny because I haven't even tried it yet, and I've had it here in the States since December, and I just haven't. All I have to do is log on and create the account. So maybe I should just do that, and I can play some Grid as well.
Yes, you should. I mean, it would actually be interesting to hear what your experience is with it, like how it runs on your computer. With I don't know how fast of an internet connection do you have over there?
I don't have a gigabit. I don't have what you have. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't have a gigabit either. Like I have 200 megabit, but still very fast.
Oh, I thought you said gig. Yeah, because gigabit is like over here. I think is the highest internet speed you can get.
That's really fast. Yeah.
Can't afford
Not that it matters though. When you get up in that, like if you have 100 megabit, having 200 megabit, I mean, it's really not. It's really not much of a difference.
That's
at that
true.
Point.
Yep.
At least not for normal usage. Anyway, it'll be interesting to hear what you think about it. Maybe we can talk about that in a future episode. But I have a completely other topic I want to get into, which is kind of the complete opposite of AAA games, AAA PC games, and it's these hyper casual mobile games. These are the ads. Not the ads. Well, they are ads. Actually, that's a good. Like they're pretty much just ads. These are the games that you
ads.
See. Yeah. So we made an ad, and then we made a bit of a game on top of that.
Exactly.
That's basically what it is, right? It's these games that are filled with ads. In terms of their monetization model, that's how they make their money. They might have in-app purchases, but some of them don't even have in-app purchases. It's just straight up ads. And these are the games you see ads for on Facebook.
On Instagram, all the social medias, yeah. Even your mom can play them.
Yeah, exactly.
Mom versus dad.
Well, see, that's the thing. Yeah, pro versus noob.
Yeah.
Those types of games. But see, you're hitting something there like that. That's the thing. Everyone can play these games. Mm-hmm. Really casual games. That's why they're called hyper casual. They're the most casual of casual games. But the thing about these types of games is, I read, and this is what really surprised me and made me want to talk about this. I read that there's a game called Fun Race 3D.
Gotta have the 3D in there.
Yeah, it's very important, right? But I read on gamingonphone.com, they our good friends over at gamingonphone.com, they wrote an article about these hyper casual games, and they brought up this game called Fun Race 3D, which single-handedly got 10% of all installs among the top 20 most downloaded new games released last year. So
that's crazy.
10.4% of all downloads of the top 20 most downloaded new games. This game got those downloads. That's 219 million downloads, for those who are wondering, and then you can do the math to count how many downloads the top 20 new games got last year. But that's a lot of downloads, and that's it's the most downloaded new game of last year. and I haven't heard about it. And I guess
never
that's
even heard
my
it.
point.
Yeah, me neither. I've never even knew it existed. And then when you brought it up in the pre-show and I brought up images for it and I was looking at it, I'm like, this looks like exactly one of those games that's on those social media sites that for ads and all that stuff. And I'm like, wow, I just never clicked it and downloaded it.
Yeah, and it's so interesting, I think, because we cover mobile games. I mean, it's not a full-time job for us, but this is what we do, right? As our hobbies. Like we create content about mobile gaming. None of us have heard about this game, and it's the most downloaded game of last year. So maybe it's just us that are out of touch.
Yeah.
But what I actually, which might be the case, but here's my made-up explanation of what it is, so we don't sound so bad. My explanation is that I think what we're seeing is that the mobile games industry just keeps growing, right? I mean, I don't have the numbers in my head, but it's like it just grows and grows and grows, and it grows faster than PC and consoles and any other types of gaming platforms. Mobile keeps growing. And I think what we're seeing is that we're seeing huge growth in hyper-casual games. Funrace 3D and all the other 3D games, all the other horribly advertised, at least. Let me put it like that. I haven't played Funrace 3D, so it's not really fair to say it's a horrible game. But
yeah.
All the games over there, and this is your mom and dad type of games. You said it very well. I mean, these games are being advertised on Facebook. These are the games that the people who don't really... They don't play games typically. They download these games, and I think also probably lots of kids download these games before these people have really gotten a more refined taste. And I sound like a horrible person when I say that, but like I think it's
you sound like a mobile gamer connoisseur.
Yeah, I'm a connoisseur with my wine, right?
Yeah, with your wine glass. Yeah, are you smelling the game to make sure this game is too casual?
I'm not drinking it. I'm just smelling it yet. Actually, what I meant was that I've seen this happen with people I know, like kids, right? Like they grow up and they start playing games, just whatever they see an ad for, they download it. And they haven't played a lot of games, so they don't know what to expect. And they just, have some level of fun with it. But then they start finding, as they grow a bit older, they start playing more and more games, and they find out, oh, there's actually better games out there. And then when they look back, they're like, why did I play that game? But anyway, I didn't mean to trash hyper-casual games. I just meant to say that this is a growing industry, and people who didn't play games before are now playing those games, but who are then also seeing huge growth in what I want to call the hardcore games, mid to hardcore games, right? So these were the hyper-casuals, but we're also seeing growth in like PUBG. I mean, that's a hardcore mobile game in comparison to the hyper-casual games, right? PUBG Mobile releasing on mobile. PUBG releasing on mobile. Fortnite releasing on mobile, right? Call of Duty mobile. Those were all shooters, but we also have MMORPGs. RuneScape, pretty hardcore game, You'll be grinding for thousands of hours in that game before you've explored everything that game has to offer. And we have these games releasing as well, and those are the types of games that you and I tend to cover, and I think many people who listen to this podcast, those are the types of games they tend to play. But many of those games, I mean, if you ask the moms and dads and kids and people who prefer hyper-casual games, they probably wouldn't even know about those hardcore games.
They wouldn't know, or they might not be maybe as interested because they see this and they see the ease of access to it, right? These games, they're pretty simple to play. The mechanics are pretty simple. Somebody can just play them really quickly and stop playing them. So, I mean, of course, there's a target audience for the hyper-casual games. And like you were saying before, somebody might start playing these games and realize, oh, wait, there's better games out there. Let's play those games. But there's a market for these games, and people are playing them. And I think we're just doing it all wrong, Nimble. I think we need to create a hyper-casual YouTube channel where everything is hyper-casual. Maybe hyper-casual Fridays or something. I don't know, something like that.
Yeah.
But if you look if you look at the developer who created, Funrace 3D, by the way, they have a sequel to it. It's called Epic Race 3D, just in case, because fun wasn't fun enough. You got to go epic now.
No, it's epic, yeah.
And they've made like 15 of these type of games. I'm looking at it right now on the Google Play Store, and they're very simple. You got Fun Race, you got Color Fill, Color Hole, Color Saw, Paint Saw.
It's good job games. I've heard of this developer.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. But if you go further back, I mean, they've been doing this for a while, so they know what they're doing. And the only thing I was going to bring up was, the hyper casual. When it comes to hyper casual games and the market is, is retaining that player base. Let's say, you know, you have all these huge downloads. That's a huge amount of downloads. How many people are still playing it though is a different story, or how much money. I'm sure a lot of ad money was put into it. Like you said, we see these games on the ads, you know, girlfriend versus boyfriend, like, you know, who's better. Like we see that. Then when people download and play the game, now they have their own set of ads in the game to, of course, monetize themselves, like a cycle, let's say. But when you see the amount of these companies, they push these games out, I only think like, okay, maybe they push so many out because they know that, you know, the people downloading, they're like, oh, I'm done with this one. What's the next one? And then they might go to Epic Race.
I think that's true to some extent. Like the life cycle of a hyper casual player, if you can put it like that, is probably way shorter. I do think that's true, but at the same time, if they monetize, so I think that's true, but they also monetize almost entirely based off of ads, and per ad they don't get a lot of money. So I'm just thinking there must be some people, a lot of people, not just some, a lot of people who keep coming back to these games over and over and over again every single day and every single break throughout the day, because otherwise, I mean, you don't earn. We know this as YouTubers, right? The amount of AdSense money you get per 1,000 views is not a lot. And so if you break it down to single person sitting and watching ads, those people have to watch a lot of ads, you know, for you as a developer on average to make your money back, you know, on average per player. So I agree with what you're saying, but at the same time, in order for the math to add up here, some people must be coming back to these games. But maybe you're right that they cycle
those ads.
Yeah, to look at those ads, exactly. But maybe you're right that it's sort of a portfolio thing where like they cycle their players through the different games by the same developer. And so from a player's perspective, you're playing new games, and as the developer, from the developer's perspective, you're not getting enough money out of that player from that one game, but that player continues to your next game. And if you can promote your own games within your own games, right? Like promote the next new game you're coming up with. If you can do that for free, just basically showing an ad for your own game, then I guess it might make sense. Because then the lifetime, you don't care so much about the lifetime value of that user. I mean, these are terms you use in the games industry, right? Like the lifetime value of a user. You don't care so much about the lifetime value of a user in one game. You care about the lifetime value of a user across all of, in this case,
15
Good
games.
Job Games' portfolio, right?
Yeah.
I never thought about that before.
Yeah,
but,
that makes sense. Like you said, you have this portfolio of all these games. They're all showing ads. Multiple people are playing them different times. Yeah. The ad revenue definitely adds up. I mean, they wouldn't keep making them if it didn't. And I'm not saying these games are bad games. I don't want anyone to think we're saying that these games are the worst games you've ever played. There's some fun to be had in these type of games.
Obviously, there's a reason why they're getting downloads. I mean, it's not just because of the ads. I mean, it has a lot to do with the ads, but it's not
Grandpa
just
versus
because of
grandma.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's always someone versus somebody, right? Yeah.
Now, actually, these games, I mean, we were talking about Fundraise 3D, right? But there's another statistic saying that 78%, so almost 80%, 8 out of 10 games downloaded in 2019 were these types of hyper casual games. So this is definitely, absolutely what is driving the games industry, and yet we barely spend any time, you and I at least, any time playing them or even covering them or even thinking about them, which is kind of fun to think about, I think. A lot of people don't think about them, yet they're the most... For most people, this is what mobile gaming is. I guess that's my point. It's such a different perception of mobile gaming, right? It actually leads me to think that maybe that's why, you know, when I present mobile games, like when I talk with some of my friends about mobile gaming, they're like, yeah, you know, mobile gaming, you know, and they say like that because what they think of, I think, are these hyper casual games, because that's what they see on the ads on Instagram and Facebook and what have you.
That's a very good point. Yeah, because there's this misconception of when people are talking about mobile games, they're saying, oh, they're not real games, or oh, you know, they're not this. And it could be that this is what they're seeing the majority of. I mean, you have 78% of downloads in 2019. That is a lot of downloads. And here we're covering mobile games, yes, but we're usually covering mobile games that are very extensive, or there's a lot of different gameplay mechanics involved. The art style is this way. I mean, the mobile games that I feel like we cover most are basically games that can be considered almost, I guess, real games, in the sense of like on a PC or on a console. Not all of the ones we cover, but some of them have certain mechanics.
This was an almost real game.
That's what I'm going to start saying in my videos. This game is almost a real game. You should download it. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of how it is. Like you said, you brought up Call of Duty. That's one. If you tell somebody, oh yeah, I'm playing Call of Duty, they're going to know, oh, you're playing Call of Duty. Now, if you tell them you're playing Call of Duty mobile, they might be like, oh, there's a mobile Call of Duty, like it's one of those misconceptions when it comes to mobile gaming. And it does sound like the hyper casual right now is really big, and there's a reason for that.
Yeah, I think the reason is that, these are the games that are being advertised everywhere. These are the games that, and they're casuals. Like, you can play them anywhere. You can play them while you're on the pooper. You can play them,
My favorite time to play them.
Yeah, exactly. I think these are very much poop games. Actually, poop games, right? That's a good one.
There you go, poop games.
They're like low-tier games, but they're fine. They're fine for what they are.
We'll make sure we bleep out the word poop, though.
Yeah, very important.
That's a bad word.
It's a bad word from now on.
Yeah.
Some people will get that joke. Most will not. Yeah, it's gonna be great. Now we have you brought up a really interesting, because this was hyper casual, right? And then I think in the other end of the spectrum we have premium games, where you actually bringing up a premium game that did something kind of nasty.
Yeah, well, it's kind of interesting what they did with this. So there's a game out called Agricola. I've never played the game. Apparently, it started out as a board game. It's like a tabletop game that's very popular. I think it has to do with agriculture, hence the name. But Agricola basically had a premium mobile game that has been out for years now. I think it came out in 2016. I'm not sure. This is a game you paid for on the Google Play Store or the iOS App Store. You own it and you play it. So it was originally published by a company called Playdeck, and I guess recently the rights now belong to another publisher called Asmodee. I think that's the name of the publisher. So what happened is when the new publisher took over, they took the game off of the Play Store, and then they basically re-uploaded it as a revised edition. So I think they changed a little bit of the graphics. They might have changed the way some of the gameplay works. So it's the revised version, and they're selling it again. So a lot of players are upset. I know a lot of players are upset who originally bought it, and then to have the game get taken off, so now they cannot play the game because, you got to have your online access. The game has to be on the Play Store.
Wow.
And now they have to basically rebuy the game. They lost all their, their progress in the game. They're basically starting over. Yeah, so a lot of these people are upset because of that. And it's understandable. If you buy a game, you own the game, essentially. But it kind of brings up this...
You would think so.
You would think so, exactly. So it does kind of bring up this weird topic of, well, if you have that game and if the publisher changes rights or whatnot, they decide to take it down and re-upload it to resell it. I mean, a lot of us, even me including, is going to go straight to, wow, what a greedy company, right? Wow, they're they're just basically ripping people off. I mean, but yeah, on the other end of it, I do understand that company who owns it now is like, yeah, we made some changes, we're selling it. Of course, they want to try to make a profit off of it as well. But it does bring up this weird dynamic of who's right, who's wrong, and, player ownership of your game. Let's say those players, they feel kind of gypped. That kind of sucks that they don't have the game that they had with their progress and everything in there.
And see, I would absolutely feel that way as well. But as you mentioned it just very briefly, but you said that the new publishers, they have to make money. They have to, because the alternative would probably I don't know this case 100%, but I imagine the case would be that this game it wouldn't exist anymore. If these publishers hadn't taken it over, it would probably be completely gone. So you got to ask yourself, okay, is it better that it's now, yes, it's completely gone almost because your progress is lost, but you can still buy it again, though. If you want to play it, you can continue playing it. And I presume it's going to be somewhat supported under this new publisher, at least for some time. That's I think it's one of those cases where if you sit down and you think about it objectively, trying to be objective, you're like, okay, I kind of get it, but that doesn't change the experience you're having as a player that have bought the old game. You can at the same time understand from a logical, objective standpoint that yes, okay, they have to do this, but it still feels shitty, right? It still doesn't feel great that this happened.
It feels poopy. You mean poopy?
I mean poopy. It feels very poopy,
and
it's just
the wrong word.
I did shitty poopy. Sorry. It's just a lose,
Yeah.
It's a poop.
It's a boop boop situation.
Yeah,
and
it
that
really
is
a
true
poop-poop.
though. Like I said, like, and it was that play deck. I think like either something happened or whatnot, but that is true. You did bring up a good point. The game wouldn't exist. They would have been pulling it anyway, so it wouldn't have lived on. Let's say. So I guess at least this gives players the opportunity. At least this gives players the opportunity to play the game again, or re-download it, and then from a business perspective, like I was saying, I mean, this company, I'm sure they paid money to get rights to the game, so of course they want to make some of those funds back. So,
and it's a conversation we need to have. I think it's at least it's something you have to think about as a gamer, because you're gonna run into this over and over again, and even it's not just about greedy companies. I mean, this can happen to any company in any game.
In today's market.
Vainglory, one of the most highly and well-regarded MOBAs, probably the most well-regarded MOBA on mobile. Vainglory, it's now getting taken down. I don't know if you heard this, but like their servers are going to shut off.
Wow.
Basically, they don't have enough money to run it anymore, and now they don't really know what to do about that, because it's a bit more complicated. I'm giving you the short version here, but because there was another company that took over the publishing, and then like it went back to the original developers then, and like there's a whole back and forth thing going on. But the short and sweet version is, as a player, what you're experiencing now in Vainglory is that the servers are going to be taken offline, or maybe there'll be some way for the community to host servers or host games, locally.
July 22nd.
Yeah, Nintendo is gonna, the game is just not gonna be playable anymore. And that's the thing with these always online games, right? When they don't make enough money anymore, the developers have to take them off, because they're paying, they have very real server costs, right? It's not free to maintain an always online game. In fact, very, very far from it. It probably costs these developers tens of thousands of dollars per month, maybe even more depending on how big of a setup they've got going on. And that's not even counting the salaries for the people who maintain the game. Even though it might not be receiving lots of updates, there's still maintenance when you have an online game. And I think that's something many people don't really think about, like know how much money is actually poured into these always online games. So, it could be Agricola, it could be Pokemon Rumble Rush, it could even happen for... It's so sad. But we have to have these conversations so that developers get to know how we as gamers feel as well. What would we like to see happening? Is it the better... is it the better of two evils that you have to repurchase the game? Because maybe that's still it's still the better of two evils. It's not the ideal situation, but might still be the best option in these situations. And I think we have to be a bit forgiving towards the developers that have to pull something like this off. In some cases, of course, there are outrageous cases as well, but I do think we have to cut them a bit of slack, especially when they're actually trying to do the right thing, even though it might come at a monetary cost for you as a player, because the alternative could be that you can't play it anymore, as we saw it with Durango.
And that could be like, we're seeing this sudden surge in monetization of mobile games with the subscription services, right? Like I've been seeing it a lot lately where, you pay for your premium pass, or, you pay monthly of this and that. And as much as I dislike that, especially when it comes to like certain mobile games, like I don't think you should have a subscription. But if you have a very popular one like Vainglory, I mean, maybe that does make sense. Maybe that subscription, if the developer says, hey, this is to run the servers, like if you guys really like this game and you want to continue supporting us, here's $5 a month. This will help us keep these servers going. I mean, if you have backing by your player base like that, I can honestly see that being a viable option, but it just kind of depends.
I guess it's unfortunate when it happens, and we've talked about a few cases now where it happened, and it's going to continue happening. So, too bad for those who liked, Agricola, but at least you can still play the game. You just have to repurchase it, and your progress is lost, which is really unfortunate. But you can still play it, though. Too bad for those who loved Pokemon Rumble Rush.
Yeah.
It's not going to be around anymore after July.
Yeah, too bad for those poor, unfortunate people who actually like that game. No.
Oh, wow. No, I agree with you, by the way. I'm not trying to out you here. Like,
it wasn't my favorite of the Pokemons on mobile.
No. Pokemon Masters, that's the one, right?
Yes, I think that's the one.
That's actually a decent Pokemon. It's the best Pokemon game on mobile, in my opinion.
All right, so we're going to move on to a little subject we want to call Lit Lockdown Leisure.
You did it.
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna correctly.
I wasn't gonna say it, but Nimble wanted me to say what we're calling this segment.
Can you say it again? What was it called?
lit lockdown leisure.
Perfect.
So, yeah. So we're all on lockdown right now, right? So we want to keep things lit, but we also want to keep things leisurely. With everything going on right now, we're all staying indoors. We're all trying to, stay safe, stay healthy. It gives us a lot of free time. Some of us more free time than we've ever had in our lives. And basically what Nimble and I are going to do is we're just going to talk about how we've been impacted in our daily lives about it, what games we might be playing. Are we playing more? Are we playing less? Basically what's going on in our lives during this time right now. And I'll get started with saying that I'm actually working a lot more. I'm considered an essential worker, so I actually have to go to work. I'm actually working more days a week than I've ever worked before. But when I come home, I know, Mr. Very Important Guy, let me straighten my tie here. However, when I am home, of course I'm home and I'm staying in. I'm not going out and doing extra things. So I do have a little bit more time to play games that I wouldn't normally play. So how it's impacted me more is I've actually gone back and played some mobile games that I might have stopped playing, let's say. Like I think I went back and played some more COD Mobile. I took a break from that, so I've been playing a lot of that lately. I went back and played a few other mobile games. I brought up a game called Solo Night, but I've actually went back and started playing Soul Night. So Soul Night, I played a long time ago on my channel, and everyone keeps telling me, like in my comment section, oh, you need to go back and play it. Oh, there's, they have so much updated content. The game is like completely almost different.
I've heard that as well.
Yeah, so I was like, let me go back and play it. And I did it not necessarily for the channel. I don't think I'm going to do a video, but I just did it because I went back to my mobile gaming roots. Yeah, I have the time to actually leisurely play, a game that I might not be doing for my my channel or anything else, just to play it. And I'm enjoying it. I'm having a great time with it. It is different. There are some different mechanics involved. Just as fun as it was before. But I think I just been spending my time, going back and just playing games that I wouldn't normally go back and play to. When we're doing the channel or when I'm working and I'm always trying to get things done, I'm okay, what's the next game? What's the next game? So this kind of allowed me the time to go back and be like, oh, let me go back and revisit that game, I played 2 years ago that I always wanted to get back into. Same thing what I'm doing. I'm playing some games on PC now that I haven't played in a long time. We spoke of Rainbow Six Siege. I actually played a couple matches of that, so that was kind of cool and fun. So basically, and I'm cooking more. So let me get off the gaming topic. We're cooking more food, that's
how long can it take to make noodles? I mean,
I've diverged from cup noodles and now I'm eating frozen meatballs. It's really cool. You buy frozen meatballs. You don't eat them frozen, whatever you do.
Oh, okay.
You buy the frozen meatballs, right? And then you buy your favorite barbecue sauce, like spicy barbecue sauce. You boil the barbecue sauce with the meatballs, and you have barbecue sauce meatballs. It's the best thing ever. Quote me on that, everybody.
So noodles are not the best thing ever anymore. Is that it? Did
frozen,
we hear that?
You heard it here first. Frozen meatballs, everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
We got him. Yeah, we got him.
He admitted it. We've all been expecting it.
Yeah. He would eventually stop eating cup noodles. The doctor said too much sodium. No.
You've grown so much. Oh.
But yeah, so basically, it's basically allowed me to, cook more, clean more, because my house is like super clean now, and just go back and play games that I never had the chance to go back to and play.
That's awesome. I mean, our apartment has never been as clean as it is right now either. The dishes all done. I mean, it's so nice in the kitchen. And, ironically, I guess we might have actually been cooking less in this household than usually. But I've actually had the same experience. I'm one of the people who does not have an essential job, I guess. Like I've just stayed at home. I've been working from home, but it also does mean that, you don't have the daily commute back and forth, and like that does save some time. It does add up, it's a bit of extra time each week. And so I've also gotten a chance to, first of all, by the way, just get a bit ahead of time as well in my schedule on YouTube, which was very nice. So I've been able to play more games as well. I was sort of getting down to only 3 games per week, and my typical schedule was 4 games per week. So I wanted to get back. People were already making jokes about that, and that next week I was probably only going to do 2 games. But we're back at 4. But I actually also got to go back and play some of the, even though these games are ones that I more recently played, so not games that I played years ago, but still, I very rarely, just like you, I very rarely get to go back and play a game that I really liked. But I got to play Titan Conquest. I covered that game. Everyone seemed to love that game, Titan Conquest, an awesome MMORPG text-based game. And I never thought, I never liked single-player text-based games, but the multiplayer aspect of this game, the MMORPG aspect, it really just does it for me. And I know that a lot of people are really enjoying that game more than they thought they would, and I'm one of them. And I'm happy to almost promote this game. It's not paid, but just like, this is a solo developer doing something really awesome, and I think it's worth highlighting. So I got some time to play that a bit more, got some time to play Random Dice, which is also a relatively new, unique twist on a tower defense game. It's a PvP tower defense game. So yeah, I'll let that speak for itself. Go check it out if you're interested. I got to play that some more. And then, as I mentioned, old school RuneScape, it's sort of almost my nemesis. Like, it's the one thing I'll never get rid of in my life. I keep, that game has been around for almost 20 years now. I keep getting back to it. It's just so brilliant in my opinion, and it's a good chunk of nostalgia as well, but hey, what can you do? I'm a super nostalgic person, and I almost hate it about myself, right? I'm aware of it, but I'm just so nostalgic. It hits me. It hits me in the feels. Anyway, that's old school RuneScape. So got to play that some more. Really enjoyed that. That's mostly it for mobile gaming. Apart from that, I've been playing just new games. So I guess it's not a huge change. And when I say I got to play old school RuneScape and I got to play these other games, it's not that I played them a lot, but it's just even just me spending 30 minutes playing one of these games, I take that as a win. Because I typically cover new games. And on PC, as you said, I do have a laptop as well. I do play a bit of PC games very rarely. Like, I'll maybe play one new PC game per year, so like incredibly rarely. But in this, in these quarantine lockdown times, I guess nostalgia really ruled my behavior on PC as well, because I downloaded a game, an MMORPG that I played many years ago called Silk Road Online.
Oh wow, I remember
free
that.
To play, free to play MMORPG, and it was like horribly managed by the actual developers of the game, and the game was overrun by botters and cheaters, and like, it's just horrible, really. But I downloaded a private server version of that. So these are like the community has taken over and basically run their own servers, and I got to try that out, and really gave me a good nostalgia trip. So I've been playing a bit of that as well. And that's basically what I've been doing here these have been my lockdown leisures, my lit lockdown leisures. There we go. I can say it as well.
You said it.
Yeah. Apart from that, I have been impacted a lot because I am working from home, as is everyone, but I haven't been impacted in a bad way. I haven't, not me nor any of my family has been hit by the virus. And yeah, I feel really blessed in that regard.
Yeah. Same here. Tiny household is safe and healthy. All my cats are running around healthy. So
wait, how many cats do you have?
Oh, I have two cats. So I had one cat, and then Tiny wife said she wanted another cat, and I'm like, no, one cat's enough. And then she convinced me. She's like, we really need another one because our cat needs a friend. And so now our cat has a friend. So my one cat is Noodles, and my other cat is Cheddar. Noodles and Cheddar, and together they make macaroni and cheese. Get it?
That's perfect.
Get it?
Yeah, I get it. That's a good one. Now I just want junk food. You can't even talk about it before. Now I'm just like, I want pizza. I want
pizza. There you go. Yeah.
Pasta on pizza. Is that something you do? Like spaghetti on pizza?
I've never heard of that. Is that real?
Never heard of it.
Are you being real right now?
Yeah, it's very real. Like, yeah.
I mean, it makes sense. I'm not laughing because it sounds bad. It actually sounds delicious, but I never thought of it. So what? Do you have a pepperoni pizza and do you put spaghetti on it, or do you have
that's pretty much
a plain pizza? What?
No, I mean you have. I mean,
okay,
hold on. This is great. I guess. I'm not. I don't order this pizza typically, but Nimble wife really likes it though, and
so you can order it. Wait, so you order it and it comes that way. You don't cook the pasta separate and then put the spaghetti on it. No. You order the look it up. Like I think I'm looking it up right now. I can't take this.
Spaghetti on pizza. Like I don't know. Like I'm googling this right now. In some of the examples it looks a bit extreme. On Google. But
I see one that looks pretty dang good though, actually.
Yeah, it's like just like it can be whatever, right? Yeah, like your typical whatever you like to have on your pizza, right? And then just with some pasta as well. And I guess when you think about it, it's like it kind of makes sense because what is a pizza if not just a holder, a container, a piece of bread at the bottom so that you can stuff things on top of it, and those things you stuff on top of it, many of those types of things would also go well with pasta.
Yeah,
right?
That makes complete sense to me.
Just more calories now. It's perfect.
This is great. I wonder if I can order this. I think I'm going to get a spaghetti pizza tonight.
I think you can. I'm pretty sure you must be able to find someone. I don't know if this is the Danish thing. I don't think it is. But it is very It's very uncommon in Denmark as well, by the way. Like it's not your typical pizza, but it exists. The truth is out there. I've been rewatching. We are so off topic now, but I've been rewatching X-Files.
X-Files. I knew that's what you were gonna say because you said the truth is out there. Good show.
Oh man. See, I watched it, right? I used to sit up till like 3 a.m. in the night, and because that's when they were, so they would run the show in the night because there was nothing better to show, I guess, in the middle of the night. Back when I was growing up, and I used to watch it like during summer. I would sit up to like it started at 1 a.m. and then they played 2 or 3 episodes, and then it ends at like 4 a.m., right? So it's in the middle of the night, and I used to watch it, but I never really watched it like from end to end, from start to end. But that's what I'm doing now. And it hits me that this is such a good show. It's so much better than I remembered it being now that I watch it, having, putting on that connoisseur hat once again, having watched a lot more series now that I had back then.
Now that you're an adult.
Now that I'm an adult.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. It's like I go back and I watch it and I'm like, this is a pretty solid show, honestly. I'm so in love with it. So
yeah, that's funny you bring that up because I started rewatching it probably a few months back and I thought the same thing. I was like, oh, this show is really good. I was like, this is super interesting. The truth is out there.
It really, and it's always intrigued me, right? Like I don't believe in like UFOs in the sense of like intelligent alien life. I don't think that's a thing, but the thought of it intrigues me. Like I have been Googling a bit sometimes, like finding some of those like really conspiracy websites, and just enjoyed watching YouTube videos and that stuff. Just like hearing people who either really believe in it, or I don't know if they just make money off of people who do believe in it. I don't care at this point. I'm just like, this is so cool just to listen to. And so anyway, X-Files. Oh, I love that show.
X-Files and spaghetti pizza.
And spaghetti. See, that's a good combination.
Yeah, that's what everyone should get out of this podcast, okay? You could put spaghetti on your pizza. That's the most important part. Yes, and yeah. X-Files.
And, the thing is, like, it really goes on multiple levels, right? Because there's a whole spaghetti monster thing, right? Like the spaghetti religion. I guess it's not a monster, right? You've heard of this, right? Like the
yes.
Spaghetti.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's going to be an episode of that.
It could be an X-Files episode. Yeah.
It could be, yeah.
Well, okay. So how about we end it off here before we go even more off topic? People, go order a spaghetti pizza. You might get disappointed, but I don't think so. Open your minds. The truth is out there. Maybe this is actually the pizza you've all been waiting for. So anyway, guys, be sure to let us know what you thought about this episode in the comments. If you're watching this on YouTube, or leave a rating. Do whatever you can to support this podcast if you want to. We have recorded 10 episodes now. This is such an important milestone because I feel like 10 episodes, then you've kind of made it, right? Like you've got a path forward, right? You know what you're doing now. Do we know what we're doing? I don't know.
We're getting there.
We can pretend that we know what we're doing. We've done 10 episodes. The format is starting to like really, take form, in lack of better words. And yeah, anyway, here I am rambling again. I think I'm happy about these 10 episodes. I'm really looking forward to the next ones. Hopefully, we'll be able to do the next one in pretty much about 30 days from now. So getting back on that 1 month schedule. If you don't know what to go play right now, by the way, you can always find lots of great recommendations. Hint, hint, on our individual YouTube channels. You can search for Nimble Thor or Tiny Little Games on YouTube. And lastly, also, in terms of recommendations of things to go do now, we do have this mobile gamer Discord server. It's still running strong as ever. It's me, it's Tiny, and it's gamingonphone.com, and we run this Discord server together. If you're looking for a place to just hang out, come and chat about mobile gaming, that's a pretty nice place to go. We're not focused on specific mobile games, it's just mobile gaming as a whole. If you have awesome recommendations, go share them with us there. We also over there, you can tag us over there, and we can have a chat if you're into that. So with all of that outro stuff out of the way, we just hope that you'll have a great rest of your day, and we hope to see you back in the next one.
Bye-bye.
So bye-bye, guys.